And he's suggesting that that's what we should do, that we should bring in the troops and shoot the protesters.
The commander-in-chief was suggesting that the U.S. military shoot protesters.
Yes, in the streets of our nation's capital. That's right. Shocking.
What specifically was he suggesting that the U.S. military should?
Before the tweets start getting deleted. So Lauren Boebert decided that she was going to go on a news channel and start saying that Joe Biden is responsible for the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene also took to Twitter and blamed Democrats. She named them by name, putting a target on their backs. J.D. Vance alleged that Joe Biden and his campaign are connected to what happened to Donald Trump as well. Mike Collins suggested that Joe Biden sent the orders. No evidence, just decided to tweet that out. Interesting. They're all Republicans, MAGA Republicans, right? And then we have Candace Owens, who decides that she's going to post up the shirt of this god-awful picture of Donald Trump in solidarity and what happened, right? Let's let them have their moments. Now, a white 20-year-old Thomas Matthews Crooks was labeled by the FBI as the person responsible for the attempt on Donald Trump. It's not black, it's not brown, not Asian, not Muslim, maybe not LGBTQ, not a woman, but a 20-year-old white man whose voting record was pulled, and he's a registered Republican. Now, if 2 + 2 is 4, and 5 + 5 is 10, what the hell is this? Before the maggots decide that they're going to start taking down their tweets and videos about this being a liberal attack, the Democrats wanted this, Joe Biden is responsible, before all of that gets taken down, I wonder, have you checked the call coming from inside the house? I'm not saying it was staged, but if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, Aflac,
what's my reaction? It's Barack Obama. It's Barack Obama. That's my reaction. It's Obama.
I think if you dislike Trump, right, this doesn't change that. You might say it's too bad it happened, but you're not gonna make you change your vote. And obviously, if you love Trump, then this is just gonna make you more excited to vote, but you don't get extra points for enthusiasm in an election.
People with more accuracy than Donald Trump shooter. Justin Fields throwing the deep ball. Angel Reese around the rim. Chuck Knobloch throwing to first base. Ben Simmons shooting a 3.
With just a handful of buildings surrounding an open area, one would think that securing all potential vantage points would be a no-brainer. Yet, the shooter effortlessly found an elevated position, exposing the glaring lapses.
With great pride that I'm going to turn this 0 into a 1.
One nigga run to the front door.
Welcome to the National Newspaper Publicists Association's Let It Be Known. And yeah, that was he was a 20-year-old white Republican voter. That was the bottom line there. And yeah, it happened. Look, 2 Kennedys were killed. One was president. One was going to be president. And let's not ever forget Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. Malcolm X was killed. Let's not ever forget that Ronald Reagan had an assassination attempt. And let's not forget that when Barack Obama was president, there were more Secret Service breaches than in the history of the country. So yes, this situation is not new. It's not new. Donald J. Trump is very fortunate that the guy missed. He's very fortunate. And I get and understand that folks on both sides. But the Obamas of the world and the president, especially Biden, and others. I get the idea that they're saying, they're glad that he's okay. But the incident itself, to be shocked about it from someone who, and nobody deserves to be, well, certainly no one really deserves to be assassinated. And but when you understand the political violence that has been brought on by folks that we saw speaking there, the Lauren Boberts of the world who post Christmas cards. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene with AR-15s and AK-47s, et cetera, et cetera. When you have the idiot down in North Carolina who someone sent me an email. First, they texted me, and then sent me an email saying that we should, as if we haven't already, and this is no shade against that person. Um, I think she's a really cool person, but saying we should do this big spread, and because today is the beginning of the RNC on Mark Ronson, I think is his name, or whatever, that jerk down in North Carolina, the lieutenant governor, the self-hating, painted blackface guy down there, this lieutenant governor, that we should do this whole thing, letting people know. Everybody knows who he is and what he's doing. He just before Trump situation, the alleged assassination attempt, the guy, you know this, Power 96 talked about it. He's down there saying that some people need to be killed. This is the lieutenant governor bucking to be in Trump's cabinet. Yeah, buck dancing. What do you call it? Whatever. Looking for some butter biscuits. He had a stage full of white folks behind him cheering. And you got that rhetoric. Just the other day, before the alleged assassination attempt, the Republicans in Congress came to the Capitol wearing pins of AR-15s. Wearing pins just before. They have laughed in our faces and the world's faces when schools have been shot up, innocent little kids have been killed, and when folks say, let's do something about gun control, they have laughed and spit in America's face. And now their savior, their Lord, got a little shrapnel, caught astray, as it were. Now they want to go on the offense. When those kids were dying and their parents crying, no one, none of these people wanted to say, let's go after the cause of this. And certainly, nobody intentionally, all this is intentionally said, Joe Biden did it. Barack Obama, you saw that stark raving racist. It's Barack. And then you got to wonder, how about the cop who climbed the ladder, saw the guy points the gun, and the cop disappears. He runs away. How about 1013, officer in distress? Or how about, hey, Secret Service, we got a problem, a serious problem. Get that man off the stage. It was none of that done. That's why you got the internet running wild, and Black Twitter is like, y'all ain't fooling us. That's why you got people saying, was this really? Was this really? I'm not saying I'm among them. I believe that this guy simply missed. I believe that it was look, they eat their own anyway. When hasn't Trump gone against his own people? He does it every single day. So when you get one of the sheep that turns into a goat, don't be surprised. The dude simply missed the shot. Unfortunately, a couple of people lost their lives. That is horrible. And no, and the president is right. This type of behavior should not be in politics. But guess what, Mr. Biden? Guess what, everyone else? It shouldn't be surprised. This has been boiling over since you put a black man in office. That's the bottom line. Since you put Barack in office, then he had the audacity, the brazen, really stepping out of line and winning a second term. Now you really pissed off. You steal a Supreme Court judge from him. You refuse to allow some of his laws to be passed, and then the coup de grace is Obamacare. Been eating at them forever. And the thing about someone who's saying, I want to give that person the credit, but was saying to me that every time Barack Obama, and I was only in the room with Barack Obama, what, 2 times? Once was at a diner in Scranton, Pennsylvania. That every single time, no matter who was in the room, every time Barack Obama walked in the room, Barack Obama was by far the smartest person in the room. And that just eats them alive. And you know it eats Trump at the core. It eats him at the core. And so he sticks in this Obamacare, which in fact they named it Obamacare, not him. He said the Affordable Care Act. And what was interesting about the Affordable Care Act, you can like it or hate it. And for those who don't like it, it's the premiums are still as much work as they've done. It's still too high for many of us. But it is what it is. It allows millions upon millions of people who would not otherwise have an opportunity to have health care, to have health insurance. But the thing about so I mentioned the whole thing with Obama being the smartest in the room. He put in some things in there that now, all these years later, after constant assault, you remember when Trump was in the White House? You remember when he had control of the House, or one of the branches, the House, Senate, one of the branches the Republicans had control of when he was, it was the Senate. When he was in power, they did everything possible to destroy it. And the way Obama wrote that law, it made it almost impossible to repeal it. He did some things, some funky stuff in there that they just, and then Trump was like, I give up. In a sense, he gave up. Then he's like, okay, it's all part of my master plan to get all of these Supreme Court justices. And he got them. And guess what's going to be the next to go? Get this guy in office, and that's what's going to be the next to go. And at least 30 million of us, and I count myself among them, are going to lose health insurance benefits. So unfortunately, in some minds, unfortunately, in some other minds, hey, unfortunately, he had this alleged attempt on his life, which is only because you know how Americans are, and they are going to they're going to sympathize. Unfortunately, it's going to give them a boost in the polls, and they have their convention this week. It's going to give them a boost in the polls. But this idea that Democrats saying, "Oh, we're praying for he and his family," wasn't even there. Family wasn't even there. I'm not going that far when you got somebody who, and you heard the rhetoric. You heard all the rhetoric. I'm not going that far. The furthest I go is to condemn the political violence, condemn anybody who had the audacity to get on a roof and shoot at a presidential candidate. If somebody shot at Biden, if somebody shot at Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I'd say the same thing. You cannot condone such behavior. You cannot. But this idea of putting out statements when you know, and then immediately the bimbo from Colorado puts like we saw in the video, puts targets on people's backs. They don't even let it cool. And then this idea of President Biden suspending his campaign ads out of respect. What respect? You give as much as you get, or you get as much as you give, as far as respect is concerned. Those people don't respect anyone. This is a man who was cheating on his wife while she was pregnant with a porn star. What type of respect? What type of respect does he deserve? This is a man who's been 34 times convicted as a felon. What kind of respect does he deserve? Twice this year, twice. A civil jury said, yeah, you sexually assaulted that woman. This is the same man who a judge said owes New York State $500 million because you committed massive business fraud. This is the same man who said he could grab women by their private parts. The same man who the Supreme Court now says, you get back in office, there's nothing you cannot do. You can go ahead and carry out your plan to be a dictator. You can go out and carry out your plans and shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. You can carry out your plans to take Obama out. You can carry out your plans to make Kamala Harris your maid. You got to be kidding me. Yeah. Power 96 said he is marked safe from distraction. We will not be distracted here. We will not, because we got to talk this morning about another part, and we're going to bring you parts because it's 922 pages. We got enough time between now and the election to break that down every single day, Project 2025. Today, we're going to discuss its assault on early childhood education and childcare. And without even going any further at this moment, you already know who that's going to disproportionately affect. This is all out war, and they are the ones who are the aggressors. And then when I see, uh, I hate the fact that Black folks in particular use the word nigger so much, particularly in very meaningless forms. But you got some niggas running around here. Kodak Black, who looks the part. I'm sorry, I have to say it. Standing up like that for Trump. 50 Cent. 50 Cent. Just recently, talk about the respect that this guy has earned, who, as a business mogul. Then we saw the preview of what he did over the weekend. We saw the preview when he went to Capitol Hill and his infatuation with Lauren Boebert. And maybe he was infatuated. I came to this conclusion. This is my opinion. The views expressed by me is my opinion and not necessarily that of the Black press, and let it be known. But I think maybe the whole Beetlejuice situation in the theater and the fact that she gives, and I'm gonna say I don't watch this stuff. I really don't. And some dudes I've known me like, why you don't watch it? I don't watch porn, right? But she gives porn. And maybe that's what attracts 50 Cent. But 50 Cent gets on stage over the weekend and has this whole Donald Trump but not memorial, but celebration, I guess, that he was alive, that he was doing, and bigged up him and all that stuff. And it's just nauseating. It used to be that hip hop guys, at least when I was growing up, the Eric B. and Rakims, LLs, Chuck, of course, Chuck, none more than Chuck D. Those dudes, I mean, they were for the community. They were for, even if they thought a little different, and not saying that they did, but even if they thought a little different publicly, and even because they didn't have the platform they have today, but publicly, they were going to stick with the community because they came from it. They understand it. They feel it. And these niggas, they made their money. They out there living out there in Bel Air and on Malibu Beach and all, and they have totally lost their way. Probably going to those disgusting Hollywood parties in which the swap parties, and they getting done themselves and just totally then want to play. Oh, I'm not this way or not that way. I just enjoy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and Dr. Nicole says Trump is trying to distance himself from Project 2025 and his MAGA stands are buying it, pushing that narrative. Oh, it's not Trump, blah, blah, blah. It's 100% Trump. You can't run it. And that's why you saw that video, the young lady that Greer played at the start. She says, before they start deleting these videos. Oh, he's on video. Not just one or two, multiple videos talking about the stuff in Project 2025. And most of the people who wrote Project 2025 were his cabinet members or his close associates. And so we know they lie. They just assume his lies brush their teeth. So that's about it. Michelle mentions Sister Soldier. They were for community. These dudes, Kodak Black, 50 Cent, even Snoop Dogg. Oh, he freed Harry O. Harry O was selling poison to the kids in your community, killing them. It's just awful, awful that these guys stand for nothing. Not nothing good for us. See, they're thinking, okay, this guy he represents money, he represents power, whatever. He represents everybody else's money. Remember the movie with Danny DeVito? Other people's money? That's been Trump's whole life, and he has messed up everybody else's money. Bankruptcy, what, 11, 12 times. Massive business fraud, $500 million that he owes. According to Congress, cutting deals with American enemies, selling American secrets. Y'all good with that. Oh, and my favorite continues to be, and somebody was tweeting at me over the weekend too. Oh, but Biden got black people believing this crap, and Biden and his crime bill, and Biden and his, he talking about I can't forgive him. He talking about if you got to vote for me, you ain't black. I can't forgive him for that. But you can forgive Trump for still in 2024 saying that the exonerated 5 should be executed. But you can forgive him for saying that he wants seeing a video of black people committing crime, saying he wants them all shot in the streets. He's going to make sure that happens when he's president. You can forgive him for racially attacking black women in Congress when he was in office. He made April Ryan's career, calling her out simply because she's a black woman, trying to disparage her. He brought her to prominence. Um, his continued racist remarks against Barack Obama. But we're mad because Biden said if you ain't, and you all know the context in which Biden was saying that if you ain't black, if you black, you ain't black if you vote for Trump. Y'all know the context. So don't play. Stop playing. Get a grip. I don't want that. He's an old man. He's getting senile with no evidence. Yeah, he stammers and stutters over his words at times. So does Trump. When is the last time you put a good sentence together? But wouldn't you rather? Oh, we need to try something else. Yeah, talk to your ancestors. Talk to your ancestors when America decided to try something else. America didn't want to do the work. America didn't want to. They got all this land and fields to plow. They tried something else. And hundreds of years of oppression, we still feel. We are still in that, what America tried, different. And Taraji P. Pay attention to your peers, 50 Cent. You know, she got a little money too. And she told y'all at the BET Awards, told y'all um, that even y'all think y'all think y'all good because y'all got some money and a little popularity, a little fame. Mm. Boy, oh boy, you in for a rude awakening. Clarence Thomas has said he wants to take that away from y'all. Y'all don't deserve it. Only he's the only black face he sees that deserves to be in a position to be taken care of, to have something in the bank. And Mike V says, I don't think a lot of our people want a democracy. And I get that. But do you want this man? Do you want a dictatorship? Do you really want that? Because it's coming. And people, oh, well, if we don't like it, we vote him out. You will not be able to vote him out. Again, we're going to get to that in a moment. But read Project 2025. You're not going to be able to vote him out. He will die in office, and then Barron will be the next dictator. That's the bottom line. This is going to be something that other governments will be looking to overthrow 100 years from now. You are screwed. Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, you're done. You're finished. It's over. They've won. You've surrendered. That's the frustrating thing about the Democrats. They're quick to wave the white flag. They're quick to eat their own too. Look what they've been doing. Okay, so NBC changes its polling somehow. Somehow. This is why do not trust mainstream media for anything at all. Folks, there are 250 African American owned newspapers and media companies throughout the country affiliated with the Black Press of America. Listen to Roland Martin. Just don't listen to anything CNN has to say. MSNBC, unless it's Joy or Simone. CBS, NBC puts out this big story yesterday. Did the research. They dug deep into it. Biden leads in polls by 3 percentage points. Broke it down too by areas, ages, everything, right? Today, just this morning, they did a complete retraction. Now they did the work. They did the polling. Broke it down. Oh, we were mistaken. It's Trump up by 3 points. But either way you slice it, whether he's up or down by 3 points, we're talking 3 percentage points. It is July the 15th. With all of with the horrible debate that Joe Biden performed, with the Democrat going at each other publicly, bringing all the family business public, with these donors and Hollywood stars, donors freezing $90 million of Biden's money, Hollywood star George Clooney and them, Rob Reiner, Oh, Biden should step down. The guy is within the margin of error. Within the margin of error. This is not a 5 point, 7 point, 10 point spread. This 3 points and within the margin of error. Shut up. This is your nominee. Go to work to keep a dictator out of America. That's to be your only agenda. That man don't want to step down. He's earned the right. You guys put him there. Leave him alone. What thing has he harmed? He hasn't harmed any relationships, foreign relationships. Trump destroyed them all. He rebuilt them. The economy, some say, is flourishing now. Prices are down. Income is up a little bit, except mine. Inflation has cooled. It's like, listen to Jasmine Crockett. Holy smoke. I mean, keep seeing folks playing this game of Russian roulette. It's supposed to only have one bullet in Russian roulette is from what the game is, right? They got the whole chamber filled. They emptying the chamber on themselves. Just ridiculous. Mike B says, I wonder how the Addos folks are going to get their reparations with a fascist dictator in office. 100%. And I see those Addos folks. Let's bring Trump in. It can't be no worse than Biden. He's proven it. Who could say that? How could you say that? In fact, Project 2025 outlaws any talk of reparations. It's already dismantled DE&I. It's already dismantled affirmative action. That's why I keep saying it's not like it's going to happen. Stuff is already in play. And yeah, it is incredible. These folks too, the 50 Cents of the world, the Kodak Blacks of the world, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have to name them all. Stephen A. Smith. They don't follow at all what's going on. They just they see names and then they think they look at Fox News and think that that's real because Fox will put on a black face like a Byron Donalds, like a Tim Scott, and they run with it. They think that's what's really going on. And so they are all just misguided, misled, and just stupid. Let's just face it. There's stupidity involved in it too. Project 2025. So this authoritarian playbook, what we're gonna today is just focus on this one aspect of it, and we're gonna bring you some more and more and more. But today, we're gonna talk about this part that's really, I mean, overall, Project 2025 destroys the 250-year-old system of checks and balances upon which this democracy has relied on. It gives far-right politicians, judges, and corporations more control over Americans' lives, point blank. So, Head Start, we'll begin there. 'Cause to date, right now, as of today, Head Start has served about 40 million children, including, especially last fiscal year, the program was funded to serve more than 833,000 children and pregnant people living in poverty in centers and home-based settings in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 6 territories. We know that Head Start plays a critical role in supporting the healthy development of children living in poverty and in helping parents seek employment, educational opportunities that afford them a better shot at gaining a foothold into America's middle class. But despite strong evidence that the program has helped to boost educational attainment and fight intergenerational poverty, Project 2025 proposes eliminating Head Start in its entirety. Enacting Project 2025's plan to eliminate Head Start would vastly restrict the number of available child care slots, dramatically increase child care costs for families living in poverty, and undermine economic growth, and certainly will exacerbate inequality. Eliminating Head Start would also strip the comprehensive services that the hundreds of thousands of low-income families enrolled in Head Start currently receive. With the rising cost of childcare, and childcare is so high. I'm so glad I don't have the cost of childcare. A couple of years ago, and I hope she don't mind me sharing this, I was paying for my granddaughter's school. It was $1,000. I think it was every 2 weeks. That was, and it was like preschool. And I remember when my own children paying for their when they were uh preschool, I think like $200 a month or something like that. Was it 200 a month or a week? A week, 200 a week, wasn't a month, 200 a week. Um, like wow. But this is what Project 2025 wants to do. We see the low income families, they are very dependent on this free services offered by Head Start, and that'll all go away. They won't be able to afford any type of childcare without Head Start. Now they won't be able to work. Um, many of them will be able to. They'll be forced, I should say, to have to look for unsafe, poor quality childcare arrangements. And the data that, and I think this was the Brennan Center or the Center for America Project. Forgive me, I forget which one who had this data, who has all this data. Probably both. Um, but the Child Care Aware of America has data that found that the national average price for child care in 2023 was $11,582. That's a price tag that many families just cannot afford. And how about the families at the poverty level? And what is the poverty level? Poverty level is something, I mean, like 15, $17,000 something, 20,000. Imagine that. That childcare will cost you almost $12,000 and you only make 20. How are you paying your bills? How are you paying your rent? The financial burden they found is more than 5 times greater than the threshold the government has said is affordable for families to pay for childcare. And also, make no mistake, cutting this program and cutting childcare affects the entire economy. And get this stat, about 68% of children under age 6 in the United States have all available parents in the workforce, meaning access to childcare is both critical for child well-being and the economy. The lack of access to reliable and affordable infant and toddler care currently costs the U.S. economy $122 billion every year due to lost earnings, productivity, and tax revenue. This is only going to increase with Project 2025 and the elimination of the Head Start program. And so, I mean, we can go on and on and on with this, and we tend to, because people need to be educated. They need to be educated. And now see the first 5 years fund, another nonprofit, said that 86% of voters believe improving the quality of childcare and early learning programs and making them more affordable for families is a good investment of taxpayer money. And 78% of business owners agree that their businesses would be more stable if employees had improved access to affordable, high quality care. So Project 2025 also goes against the interests, although they tell you differently, of even America's corporations and businesses. Dr. Nicole says families can't afford childcare but need the second income. Shaking my head. They don't care about the kids or the families. They want two classes, rich and poor, 100%. And they want to make sure that that those not among the rich are people who look like us, black and brown folks. And so all you big time 50 Cent superstars and Kodak Blacks and well, all of you, take note because they're coming for you too. They're coming for you too. Michelle says, "Who do you think Trump will choose as a running mate?" Um, I tell you what. Remember, and people got to understand this: dictators don't have vice dictators. They have what commandants or something like that. So he has not chosen a running mate. Maybe he won't. Maybe he won't. He never released his taxes, among other things. Maybe he won't. The one thing you could say about that man is like he's got his eyes set on being a dictator, and that is exactly what he's going to be. Um, it's a sad, sad story that hit me even more than usual. Um, Kid named Deron Ross, and I want to talk about this a little bit because America's mistreatment of Black children is chronic and casual. Sadly, it is an American phenomenon, and it's a handed down thing. It's deeply, deeply rooted in American soil and in the American psyche. Virtually every system that touches Black children in this country, public schools, foster care, immigration, treats them more harshly than white children. Arguably, though, the most acute harm occurs in the criminal justice system, where we routinely exercise the power to designate and derail. On a daily basis, the system prematurely labels Black children as adults, ignoring the child in the offender. As the Brennan Center for Justice noted, America carelessly discard young Black offenders in a structure never designed for children. There, these young people lose much more than their freedom. And say all that to get to the segue to the fact that the Metropolitan Police Department in DC is currently searching for a car, an individual involved in a fatal hit and run that happened a couple of nights ago in Southwest Washington, D.C. MPD said a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old boy were riding a stolen Flywing 150cc scooter at around 10:30 p.m. in the 3800 block of South Capitol Street Southwest when an unknown Black vehicle was traveling the opposite way in the 3700 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue in Southeast, and it collided head-on with the scooter. Both boys were ejected from the scooter while the driver of the vehicle fled. Deron Ross, 16, of Southwest DC, was pronounced dead at the scene. The other teenage boy was taken to a hospital with non-life threatening injuries. Last year, y'all know Austin, of course, and Austin is involved in a community program and that tries to reach these young Black kids, boys and girls. And they have guest speakers that they bring in. And last November, Austin asked me to come speak to these kids. I think it was November. Asked me to come speak to these kids, and I did. I went down to the community center there, and we had a great time. They prepared some fantastic food. Wanda Lockridge heads this program. If anybody in the DC area, you know who she is. Um, but I forget who prepared the food. The young lady's name who prepared the food made some chicken, collard greens, everything. It was so good. It was excellent. Felt like I was at a restaurant. And so one of the things that I was doing was doing mock interviews with the kids. And I don't know if Greer has the video, but I got the privilege of talking with Deron Ross, and he talked about being an astronaut. Now, we did the interview as if he was already this successful astronaut and the first black to go to Pluto. Let's take a listen if we can.
Well, at first I was scared, but I had to take that risk because I wanted to discover how cool it was, what type of planet it is, you know what I'm saying?
So, what was the weather like?
It was super cool.
Yeah.
I only went to touch Pluto for 2 seconds.
Right.
Because it'd be freeze.
Okay.
It's not like Earth.
Okay. So you got enough to know what the weather was like. But is there a possibility, Deron, that there could be life on Pluto at some point?
No, I don't think.
No? Okay. So what else can you tell us why was that a goal of yours anyway?
Because Pluto is a lost planet that really nobody can find for real. It's no planet. So
Okay. And Deron, so there might be others who have said there's no way he will ever be the first black astronaut to go off to Pluto. I'm sure you heard that. I'm sure you heard people say he can't do it. How did that motivate you?
Well, I've seen a lot on CNN, people talking about me.
Right. I saw
can't
on
do it, yeah.
CNBC saying that too, that this black guy can't do that.
Yeah, so I did it. So I heard that last week, I went to go touch Pluto.
Yeah. So
it made me just get up and just do it. I had to prove my point.
you had to prove your point. You had to prove that this black man will not be held down.
Yeah.
There will not be a knee on the neck of this black man. Right. And so tell me something else. So how did your community react?
Yeah, Deron Ross. He was 16 years old. He was one of the victims, and yeah, you heard me mention that it was a stolen scooter. Now, whether or not he knew it was stolen, I don't know. Deron, um, uh, at the time of this video, he was going through some issues with law enforcement. He was actually at the time wearing a ankle monitor. He was in a little trouble, but he was, he was coming to those programs that Austin and Wanda Lockridge does, and really trying to do better. A very excited kid. He was the first because Austin and Wanda was like, okay, we want Stacy to interview you guys, and he was the first one to agree. He was the first one to excitedly say, yeah, interview me, because we were talking about what we were trying to give them the hope that this system, this world we live in, does not provide for black kids. And the idea was to tell me what you really aspire to, and some basketball player, whatever. And when it got to Deron, he was like, "No, I want to be an astronaut. And I want to do things that black astronaut, as a black astronaut, no one else has never done." And he and I had a side conversation about the ankle bracelet and staying out of trouble, and he talked about the difficulties of staying out of trouble, and based on his surroundings, and that he felt comfortable and he felt safe at this community center. The program that they do, and I wish Austin was here right now because I can't remember the name of the program, but they're still doing it, and they take these kids to Africa, a group each year to Africa, and give them an experience. For most of those kids, really all of those kids, it's either the first time flying or certainly the first time out of the country. And Deron, um, he had his sights beyond Africa. He had his sights way up. And that's what you want for these. And you want them to be able to feel it, to realize that nothing is impossible. Because we tell our children all the time, there's nothing you can achieve, nothing you can't achieve. And so when he said astronaut, it's like, okay, let's run with this. Let's take it like, okay, you've already did it. You've accomplished it. And he talked about going to Pluto. And he was realistic. He says, I asked him, can people do you see people living on there eventually on Pluto? Nah, that's not gonna happen. I mean, he could have created a world there, but he's like, no, I know we kind of fantasizing a little bit here, but let's keep it real. And I mean, he was just so thoughtful in his comments that they have not many things, many programs, and people might look at this and say, well, you know what, he chose this, he chose. It's very hard, and this is why folks like a 50 Cent and others would become really disappointed. 50 Cent grew up, in Queensbridge. He grew up in Queens, in the projects too. And so he can say he can provide jobs. Yeah, he can provide jobs to, actors and like he does. And I credit him with that, black actors. But what about these kids that you were once him? 50 Cent was once Deron Ross. Jay-Z was once Deron Ross. We can't forget these kids. We cannot forget these kids because the system, they just want to label them. They want to tag them, bag them, and put them in a cage and do nothing else with them. That's why Muriel Bowser's approach, I have a problem with her new laws there in DC. I have a major problem with it. And this stands out as one reason why I have such a problem with it, because it just throws you. She's thrown her hands up and said, "The heck with these kids," and that is the problem with this world. They don't care about the seniors, and Project 2025 doesn't care about the seniors or the kids. We talked about Head Start. Seniors, we're going to talk about too, because they want to eliminate Medicaid and Medicare. They want to eliminate Social Security benefits. It's all in Project 2025. It's 922 pages. They could care less about the young or the old. Nicole says they make sure to slap charges on Black youth early for any minor offense. So when something happens, they are already painted as criminals. That we're asking for trouble, without question. Denise, thanks, Denise. She says it's the William O. Lockridge, right? Community Foundation. That's it. Thanks, Denise Barnes, the publisher of the Washington Informer. And watch Denise every Friday at 12 on Let's Talk on WIN TV. Washington Informer's all of their social media accounts and website. Watch Let's Talk on. She always has some great guests on. And they're community minded. They tell you what's really going on in DC. So you get an education there. But this is it's sad. I had texted Denise and Misha the other day when we found out. I was in the airport in Denver, Colorado on Friday, and Austin called me as I was walking through the airport, and he says, "Man," I heard something in his voice. We always start off with something light, and I told him I was like being like OJ running through the airport, and he kind of didn't really do the Austin laugh. And I just figured, okay, wait a minute. Either he didn't have his Captain Crunch this morning, or something's wrong. And it was the latter. And he says, you remember Deron Ross, the kid you talked to, want to be an astronaut, and I was like, okay, I know where this is going. And Austin, admittedly had tears in his eyes, and it was just so sad. Um, and Austin's the video you saw, Austin shared. I think Austin is the one who took the video. But the William O. Lockridge Community Foundation in DC, that's one of these organizations that are trying to make a difference. And I know just for that short time, it made a difference in Deron Ross's life. And so to Deron's family, certainly my heart goes out to you. And certainly that was a special kid, I could tell. And he's going to be missed. There's no question about it. Power 96 says the biggest difference between a lot of celebrities today versus celebrities of the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the celebrities of the past focuses on the entire Black community. Without them funding the civil rights movement, we wouldn't be here. And we did part of one of our broadcasts last week, the week before, Greer, we talked about Black folks in a position to help keep the Black press alive. We talked about a certain amount. It was only about, I think we mentioned 10, 15 people of Black wealth that we added up, that they had about $19 billion combined of wealth, according to Forbes magazine anyway. And just imagine, because the federal government, we saw their government accountability report. They don't do anything for the Black press. They look out for everybody else except the Black press. But if Black folks looked out for Black folks and looked out for the Black press, we would really, really be able to avoid the distractions that we have seen over the weekend, bringing you real great, even greater reporting, because we'll be able to have more people like Denise Rolock Barnes will be able to hire more Black reporters, more brown reporters. We'd be able to have social media people for Let It Be Known. We are grateful to Dawn and Randy. I mean, they do the best they can. They have their own responsibilities, but they help out. But Black newspapers and Black media companies and the Black press would be able to thrive. And the Black community has always been better because of the Black presses being able to thrive. So, and many of these people we mentioned, they got their starts, or at least they got their first bit of publicity through the Black press. And hopefully the message starts to get through to some of them, especially as we are on the cuffs of having a dictator. One last thing this morning. This is another thing to be concerned about, because something as simple as Burger King may not even be an option for Black folks, because a group of Black teenagers who went viral for posting that they landed summer jobs at Burger King have now been fired by the fast food chain down in Clinton, Mississippi. The mother of one of the former employees was also fired from her position. Well, why? Why were they all fired? Well, Shakayla Dixon, who's the mother of 15-year-old Cord Valentine, told the local television station WLBT that she believes it was nepotism. Dixon was the manager of the store. So she hired her son and his friends, and she proudly took photos of them working and posted them on Facebook. The photos went viral, and even Nick Cannon, Nick of 200 Kids with 200 Baby Mamas, reposted it. He says, now this is the wave. He was celebrating this, staying out of trouble, and getting the bag the right way. This is how it's done, Kings. Great post, great repost by Nick Cannon. It was amazing to see that a celebrity of that magnitude saw that and reposted it. Well, as soon as he did, though, Dixon received a phone call from the district leader. The company executive claimed that Dixon's son, as a minor, was getting paid what adults were supposed to get paid. She says it was never brought to my attention beforehand. I feel like the policy wasn't in play in the beginning. And young Valentine said he felt having the summer job and bringing his friends with him was a great thing because it kept them all out of trouble. He said, I hope that it portrayed to many people to do things good and stop the violence. Now, Burger King did not respond to multiple requests for comment, but Dixon did create a GoFundMe to help with back-to-school expenses for her son and her son's friends. Yeah, Power 96 is right. What Nina Simone said about Mississippi. But come on, nepotism, summer job. Now, do we know that other kids applied and was turned down or didn't get the opportunity because of her son? We don't know that part. But we're talking Burger King and we're talking shifts. We're talking the fact that they I mean, come on, couldn't you squeeze a couple more kids in if that was the problem? Just again, it's what's to come. Project 2025. You hear me speak sometimes using hyperbole maybe when I say that Kamala Harris, any job in the White House under Project 2025 would be the maid or the housekeeper. I don't necessarily believe that's hyperbole. But you got to understand slavery. They didn't want the slaves to learn to read. And they banned all these books, right? They've taken away critical race, so-called critical race theory. They have DE&I is not a thing, affirmative action, and they want to make it impossible for Black and brown folks to get into to have any type of education. That's slavery, right? They didn't want the slaves to know about Africa and their history. They didn't want them talking too much about it, I should say. So they would break them up. That was one reason. I mean, among many other reasons, they would break up the slaves, break up the families. Here, they don't want us talking about history. Project 2025 eliminates any talk of Black history, any talk of slavery in a negative way. How can you talk about slavery and it not be negative? But that's not what they're saying. Y'all saw with Ron DeSantis. He gave you a preview down in Florida. So all of this, folks, tell your people about Project 2025. Tell them about Project 2025, especially all you who keep talking about, we need to vote, we need to vote, we need to vote. Well, if you're going to do that, inform your folks. Inform them. That way they can make an informed choice. Anything you do, you should be able to make an informed choice. You go make a bank loan, make an informed choice. Should I go to Wells Fargo or Bank of America? Make an informed choice. Got to buy a car. Should I buy a Chevy or a Ford? Make an informed choice. So you say you want to vote. Make an informed choice. Read Project 2025. Cheryl Brown says they can talk about the Holocaust forever, without question. Without question. And even that, look, let's be real, even that in Project 2025, they won't be able to do that, Cheryl. They will not be able to talk about the Holocaust. Because remember, Donald Trump, he's a big fan of Hitler. He said Hitler did some good things. I would like for him to break down the good things Hitler did. I'm sure every Jewish person alive would like to know from Donald Trump, or should like to know from Donald Trump, one good thing Hitler did. One good thing. But here we are. And there you are. And go to our YouTube page, subscribe, LIBK-News, and come check us out again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.